At the far corner of the Plattsburgh Barracks is the Old Post Cemetery. Now, it's been here since just after the Civil War and includes the remains of soldiers, both known and unknown, from the Civil War to the Vietnam War. I often come here to pay my respects at this crossroad of fates, where 136 unknown soldiers, 163 identified soldiers, and 106 children and wives of soldiers, and later on airmen, are laid at rest. But this large, imposing piece of granite at the northwest corner of the cemetery has always had me puzzled. So recently, I asked my friend Keith Herculow to help me out. Keith is the author of The Battles of Plattsburgh, a deeply researched book about the War of 1812 and Plattsburgh's role in it. He's also a reenactor, as well as a founding member of the Battle of Plattsburgh Association and the holder of a master's degree in archaeology and heritage. How did this become a cemetery officially?
In the mid-1800s, right after the Civil War, the 42nd Regiment was formed here at Plattsburgh and headquartered in the building, which is the stone building beside us here. And that was a location for soldiers who were recuperating, who had recuperative needs right after the Civil War. And while they were here, the first two people that died were buried not too far from here. They were buried, rather than being placed in the village cemetery, they were buried in the grounds to the south side of what was the garden at the time. And from that point on, it became a cemetery.
The cemetery closed its gates to further burials decades ago, but not until it became a rather historic forever home of the brave from a Congressional Medal of Honor recipient of the Spanish-American War to Vietnam vets. But the most notable piece of American history here is marked by a big chunk of granite. It is nothing less than the grave marker for the 136 unknown soldiers from the earliest battles of young America.
This is the first recognized placement of a monument to the unknowns in military history. And it was ordered by the Secretary of the War, and it was there were originally three places that were cited. It was Plattsburgh and Sackett's Harbor and Fort Niagara. But the first stone to go in, the first monument, was here in Plattsburgh. So and this is well before.
Yeah, well before Arlington.
What happened in Arlington. There are actually two locations in Arlington, one in the cemetery,
right.
But then there's the guarded tomb,
right.
which is
right.
we all
what
recognize.
Everybody knows about.
That was 1932.
And this was when?
1888.
In little old Plattsburgh, New York.
Little old Plattsburgh.
I think that's marvelous.
It is. It's the ultimate tribute to soldiers of the United States. The inscription that was selected by the Secretary of War back in the 1800s, it states, "Erected to the memory of unknown soldiers and sailors of the War of 1812, killed in action or dying of wounds received in the Battle of Plattsburgh." So many in Plattsburgh alone do not know about it, and they really should. It's the ultimate tribute. And it frankly is an unknown treasure.
To the soldiers, sailors, airmen, their wives and children buried here, we say rest in peace. And to the unknown, we say your bravery inspires such courage in ourselves. For we are free today because of you. So rest easy, rest proud, and rest in honored glory. You will never be forgotten, for though we cannot call you by your name, you and your brave sacrifice will be eternally known but to God. At the Tomb of the Unknowns, at the Old Post Cemetery in South Plattsburgh, New York, I'm Derek Muirden for Mountain Lake Journal.
People Near Here on Mountain Lake PBS is supported by Valcor Brewing Company.